Lee Anderson MP opened PMQs today by calling for Sir Ed Davey's resignation. Of course, he's the leader of the Lib Dems. He had a key post in government during the post office scandal. Take a listen.
This is the same Liberal Democrat leader who in the past has called for the resignation of over 30 prominent people in this country who have made mistakes in their job. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that the leader of the Lib Dems should take his own advice and start by clearing his desk, clear his diary and clear off?
Got to say, that's a cracking soundbite. I might steal that line for one of my monologues, Lee.
OK.
You meant it. Is Sir Ed Davey a dead man walking politically?
I'm not sure about that, Mark, to be honest. He's damaged. He's very damaged. Here is a man who we know now is a hypocrite of the highest order. Like I said in PMQ today, he has called for the resignation of probably 34 people, I think it is, prominent people who's made mistakes in the job. We all make mistakes, Mark, but he's called for their resignation. He needs to man up now. I would suggest to Ed, if he's watching this, I doubt it very much, that give your knighthood to Mr Bates. He deserves it more than you, and just clear off.
What a brilliant gesture that would be. In my opening comments for the show, I said that this was the death of people power. The idea that innocent, ordinary folk were the great victims of a miscarriage of justice, ignored by government ministers who were advised by ill-informed civil servants, a corrupt organisation in the post office, and frankly, thrown to the wolves.
As MPs or even ministers who are a little bit higher up the pay scale, Mark, when you listen to people who's got a problem like a postmaster, there's always two sides to every story. People like Ed Davey chose to listen to the post office rather than the lowly workers. It's absolutely disgraceful. You know, I cannot imagine being that postmaster in a dock, in a court. You've worked hard all your life, and that judge sends you to prison like he did to a constituent of mine for 3 years and accused that person of stealing over £200,000. Absolutely devastating. Ed Davey, he slithered off somewhere this week. He's hiding, and I thought more of him if he'd been in the chamber today and you know, manned up and faced us, but he didn't.
Now, I won't speculate, as you'll understand, on why he was absent. There may be reasons for that, which may come to light. But the bottom line is that he could still make a statement. He could still communicate his message.
Well, he could apologise.
Absolutely, and he could, of course, rescind and hand back that knighthood. But does it give you a flavour of the way in which the elite govern this country now, and also a sort of computer says no culture?
It sort of does, because I mean, like I've said previously on the show, but the minister at the time, Ed Davey, and I think if you can go a little bit further back to when Labour were in power as well, they sort of took the word of the post office above the lowly workers. These are parties, by the way, Mark, that peddle this myth there on the side of the working class man and woman in the street. Yeah, well, I mean, red flags, surely. I mean, 700 people. All done for fraud. It's just ridiculous.
Well, absolutely. Now, there's more to this story than meets the eye, or is there? The plot thickens, because the BBC has generated a fresh angle on this scandal, publishing an article in which 7 South Asian victims claim that racism affected how they were treated. Roughly 39% of post office workers convicted were from ethnic minorities, with one victim telling BBC Newsnight that it felt like they thought you were a foreigner and you'd robbed them, whilst another claims post office staff told him all the Indians are doing it, they have relatives, so they take the money and send it to them abroad. So was the post office scandal racist?
Well, I wouldn't always believe what the BBC reports, Mark. In fact, I never believe what the BBC reports. Look, there are a lot of, I know in my area in particular, a lot of Asian people that run post offices, but look, the BBC seriously saying that a computer programme was racist. I know we've heard this nonsense in the past that we've got racist cheese, we've got racist gardens, we've got all sorts of racism within our society.
The countryside is racist.
The countryside's racist. I just do not believe that a computer programme is racist. I think the problem here lies with the post office, with their reluctance to actually investigate these cases properly. Look, the BBC, they're a spent force. We know that. So I don't believe that nonsense.
If it wasn't racism, although, I mean, I think you'll agree, you'll be concerned by some of those anecdotes, the idea of, oh, these people are Indian, they send the money to families. I mean, that's pretty outrageous stuff, isn't it?
It is outrageous.
If that's been said, if that's on record. Yeah. Is it snobbery then? Is it just, you know, these corporations looking down on the scum the foot soldiers, as it were, the little people doing the hard graft.
Well, it is, and the people in the post office do the hard graft, Mark. I mean, the post office businesses that I visit in my constituency are not as profitable as they used to be back in the day. They are really scrimping and scraping to make a living.
And they need to sell a lot of packets of custard creams and manila envelopes just to make a profit.
They make literally nothing on the payments they pay out for the pensions on a Tuesday, whenever it is.
Yeah.
The stamps they make hardly any money at all.
Yeah.
They're really struggling to make ends meet, and they have been let down by the post office in this
And how
country.
much of a part of a community is for those living maybe in big cities that don't know, how much of the community is the post office and the postmaster?
Massively. In the village where I was brought up, I lived there for 40-odd years. I still visit that because it's in my constituency. The post office is the hub of the community. And it's an Asian family that's running that post office. They're a massive part of the community. Brilliant family. I know they're struggling to make ends meet, and they're looking at diversifying a little bit. Imagine if they had a knock on the door from the post office and the local plod to accuse them of these horrible things. These people are innocent, Mark.
Yeah.
And Rishi spoke really passionately today in the House. These people need compensating as soon as possible and exonerating.
Most definitely. Let's talk about your boss, the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Under a bit of pressure, the Rwanda rebels. Now, we've got this new legislation which is going to hopefully get the Rwanda plan up and running. But people that you respect, former colleagues like the ex-Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, former top lawyer, says that this legislation is not strong enough. There will be a ton of individual appeals. It renders the Rwanda bill useless. Do you agree?
Well, the thing that concerns me is the individual appeals. And there's, as you know, Mark, there's a lot of horse trading going on behind the scenes. There'll be people, MPs.
In politics, perish the thought.
Yes, there is. There's people talking. We're having meetings all the time. 90% of the stuff that we discuss, we don't do it in public or on TV or on social media. We do it behind closed doors. So there's lots of conversations going off. I think the thing that we all want, regardless of what side of the party you're actually on. We all want this bill to work. When it becomes an act, we want it to work. We want to make sure that the flights go off. And yes, there'll be disagreements, but yeah, I've expressed my concerns, and the reason I voted for the second reading just before Christmas was to give government a chance, give the Prime Minister a chance to look at it again. We met with the Prime Minister, we met with the Home Secretary. We want it beefing up a little bit. I want it beefing up a little bit. I want to make sure that when this becomes proper law, that there's no loopholes, the lefty lawyers can't get hold of this, and the planes actually take off.
Does the PM feel the same way? I mean, these people are not, idiots, are they?
They're not
Suella
idiots,
Braverman,
no.
your other former government ministers, who are Robert Jenrick, who's a former immigration minister. He resigned over this issue.
I've got a lot of time for Robert, a lot of time for Suella.
So is that not the canary in the coal mine here?
I'm not sure
is the Prime Minister conning the public? Is he going through the motions, being seen to tackle this?
Well, the Prime Minister, on every single occasion when he talks about this, he says his priority is to stop the boats. I have to take him at his word. I've got massive respect for Rishi Sunak. We have to get it done, Mark. And look, we've got, another, 5 or 6 days to get this through. Yeah. There's going to be lots of conversations, probably a few heated discussions behind the scenes. But come next week, we need to sort this out and make sure that, after the Illegal Migration Act and the Nationality and Borders Act, that this scheme actually works.
Is his heart in it? It's been reported he was sceptical about the Rwanda plan, the cost of it, the workability. Does he really want this?
I think in politics, any sort of plan, anybody's sceptical because there's a lot depending on it, Mark. You want it to work.
Your friend of mine, Nigel Farage, last night on this show, told me that there may be 10 years of a Labour government. Yeah. Your reaction to that?
Well, Nigel I have a lot of respect for Nigel. I've always said this, I get on really well with him, a good colleague, but he needs to be careful what he wishes for. They made it quite clear, the Reform Party, that they want to see us off, kill us off, if you like, and they're not bothered if a Labour government gets in. I've said it in the past, it's all right for people, in high positions, have got a few bob in the back pocket. My main concern is the rest of the people in this country, and especially the people in Ashfield, who will suffer, Mark, make no doubt about it, will suffer if a Labour government gets in.
Look forward to seeing you in a week's time.
OK.
Lee Anderson, there you go, Deputy Chair of the Conservative Party.